Hello and welcome to Arsenal Above All. After a bleak midweek result in the Netherlands, the Arsenal got their groove back and completed an expert demolition job on Nottingham Forest. Joining me tonight to chew the fat, I have Bez, Kelmendi, Stephen Osakwe and Neil Shah. Gentlemen, how are you?
Super happy with this performance.
Good. I wanted to hear you all say that at the same time, so you wanted to go.
I didn't realize
that. We're all good.
Great stuff. But thanks for your time. I'll always say that. Thanks for joining me. So before we get into it, we must first, all of us, I'll speak on behalf of all of us, must send our good wishes and speediest of recoveries to Pablo Mari, who is thankfully on the mend after that horrific attack in Italy in the week. He will be out of action for 2 months, 2 to 3 months, after suffering injuries to his back and his face. So just hopefully, he'll get a full recovery, and our condolences also to the employee who died in the attack as well. So, it's just crazy, this world at the moment. It seems to be getting more and more dangerous and a bit more darker for all of us. But all best wishes to him, and hopefully he comes back better than ever. So on to brighter things. Another 2 o'clock kickoff. Another game that we couldn't see on Sky or BT or Amazon. Again, we had to watch it via various means. We, after the midweek performance, we put in a great one, Bez, against Forest. What was your take on it, and what stood out for you?
First and foremost, I like the tempo. Again, it shows that they have resilience coming up in the near future. How you can lose a strong game against PSV and to bounce back strongly again makes me happy to see them bounce back stronger. Like they play for the shirt now. They hear the fan base roaring, as Neil would know. They hear them being G'd on, giving a little lift, which I've not seen this stadium have in its existence in the last, correct me if I'm wrong, 16 years in his, establishment, and it feels like home now. People get it. The fans, obviously, we know what it means to be there, to make the voice. The players are acknowledging it. Martinelli, I'll say for me, again, that boy can make runs. I don't know where he got that header from. I mean, he's very quick. I've just seen that header again to think, how? Saka had a great game despite being hopefully not injured. He got clamped a few times, so knocks, as they like to call it in the media, calls it. I was very impressed with Reiss Nelson's cameo as well, because, as you know, he's had a stop-start career at Arsenal, which I would love him to basically carry on forward more, but I just feel like Saka's grown more, the latter years. I feel his career has been a bit, up and down, which is sad to see, really, but I hope he carries a torch. Say Saka's going off, again, I don't say injured, but maybe need a little time off before the World Cup.
Yeah. And
hopefully he comes back stronger. The defensive line impressed me again, how they can just, hold the ball well together. Tomiyasu, which Neil will thank you for saying this, but I loved him going forward today. I've seen a different side of him. It's a completely different player. Again, I'll keep this short because I'm going to let other people speak too, but Jesus impressed me despite not scoring. Again, he can not score. People like to give him, bad media about it, bad press, as you say.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's a teammate. He'll make assists, and today saw it that he will still push on.
Yeah.
So I was happy to see that every time everyone played as a unit.
Yeah.
Again, I know it's Nottingham Forest, but good to see that.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I mean, that's such a key point, because I think we're all, obviously, everybody wants to see Jesus score a goal, and not because we don't think he's playing badly. We just wanted him to get through his confidence, because everything else is there. His work rate, his assists. He's playing for the team. And it's almost like the Lacazette example, where when he came in, he was doing that. He was doing a lot of that work, and it was a bit of a revelation in that position. But then it fell off. He wasn't scoring the goals, and then that affected his performance. He wasn't doing those runs. He wasn't doing those things that he was doing at the beginning and helping the team when we struggled. But no, Steve, I mean, as Ben said, the performance from Jesus again, which he just takes it forward, just lifts the team on the front foot. But was there anyone else there that you thought today was as vital or pivotal in the way we played or the way we approached the game, right from the very start?
He doesn't put a foot wrong, does Ben White? He doesn't. He's like I said, he's a fantastic footballer. Tomiyasu, again, he played well, especially in that inverted role where you move into the centre of the park, and he was in there a lot, especially in the first half, to add extra cover for when Saka went forward, and sort of slotted in there as well and got a lot of the ball. Jesus, I think, as everybody's mentioned already, especially Bez, he works hard off the ball, and if you're not scoring, you want to be assisting and you want to be doing your part as like within the team, and he does that week in, week out. So I'm not you can't criticize the guy for his work rate. You can't criticize the guy for his effort. He forces defenders into mistakes, and he got a couple of assists today. When selfishly he probably could have got one of those goals. The one where he laid it off to Ødegaard, I think he did have a little slip before it, and the one where he got in Nelson as well. If he was trying his hardest to get a goal, he probably would have taken those on himself, and probably would have come to nothing. So he thought of the team and he thought of what was more important, which is the team. So I'm going to give shout outs to Jesus, Nelson when he came on, Ben White at the back, and yes, it's we put 5 on it. So, and we've been asking for a big win, and it's good that it's come against the team that beat Liverpool. For those fans of other teams that want to say, "Oh, it was only Forest," it's not only Forest; it's every other team that we're beating, and it was convincing today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's funny. I was going to say that, Neil. Last week when they beat Liverpool, I don't think there was any mention at all of the R word, which is relegation on this and that. But as soon as we beat them, there's all this talk about Forest relegation and their way that they're playing. All of a sudden, there's all this focus on how bad they were. Didn't get that against them at all, or get that any analysis when they beat Liverpool last week. Obviously, you was there. What was the obviously the atmosphere has been fantastic. Well, what was the feeling when Saka got that knock and right at the beginning, it seemed right at the start, and he soldiered on. What was the feeling around the people that were sitting around you and the stadium?
Firstly, let me just say the atmosphere is getting better. I said this before on previous pods, and I think it's a continual theme. The atmosphere seems to be getting better and better each time. It's unbelievable. I mean, there was one time my ears were hurting, and I'm not actually saying this as it was reality. I was like, oh my God, it is banging. They were shouting. I think it was when they were singing the Arteta song. It was unbelievable, and I think what's happening is I keep talking about the Emirates turning it into a fortress, and I think each time we're there, we seem to be solidifying that, and that is so important for any champions. They have to make sure home at first is a fortress, and it's difficult for other teams to even get anything there. And with the noise, I think it's now becoming a place that teams are probably not wanting to go to. And I think that's the most important thing, because that straight away gets into the mindset of the opposition. So that is a massive help. As far as Saka, people around me and myself included, when he got it, I just thought we have to get him off. And I know he wanted to, and I kept saying to Ian, and a big shout out to Ian Darlow, because he managed to get me the ticket today, because it's getting so difficult to get tickets. So thank you so much for that, Ian. We were both saying, and there was a couple of nice chaps that we met who were sitting next to us, that this guy's got to come off. I mean, I know he wants to play on, and I know he wants to soldier on, and we were giving him credit for that. But at the same time, we were thinking is this a little bit of naivety in Saka's own mind because he's young, he's enthusiastic, and he wants to play, but should he get to the point where he actually looks to the bench? As I said to Ian, he should be looking at the bench saying, I think I might need some attention, or I might need to come off. He kept trying to run it off. He kept getting back up, trying to run it off. And then eventually it led to the point where he just broke down completely. And, you know, my fear factor there was he's going to make himself worse. You know, come off straight away, get the treatment you need, get the rest that you desperately need, and then come back stronger. So that was the feeling, consensus generally around the people that I was around, for sure. And that was a little bit of a worry for me at the time.
But then Nelson obviously comes on, Neil, and plays on, you know, when I think we was talking in the chat, I was saying maybe Vieira should come on because he's played on that sort of right-hand side in the Europa League. And that's why I was thinking maybe put him on so he can maybe unlock the door a little bit because it was pretty low block from Forest and they were just camped everyone in. I don't think I've ever seen two centre-backs be so far in the opposition half before. Like both Gabriel and Saliba were so far advanced in that first half because Forest were literally just dropping back. But yeah, he got a great reception when he came on, Neil, and he just seemed to feed off of that vibe and that energy from the fans, didn't he? It seemed like to me.
Michael, I think
I know he's your boy. You two probably, you know, obviously best you probably know, but Neil's been the main. He's number one. You know, in the Reiss Nelson fan club, he's got 0001. You know, hashtag 001 on the membership card.
Hey,
yeah,
Lord Nelson, it should be Lord Nelson. No, fighting Napoleon. That's what it should be like now.
Listen. I apologise to Shaka in a recent pod. It might be in this one. I can't remember.
No, you did. Not with my first one. You did apologise,
right.
Shaka. You did.
I'm going to apologise to Mr. and I'm going to Mr. Nelson. Because wow, I you know what? I love being proved wrong. I'll take a second dollop of egg on my face, cover the whole face up, probably a good thing. And you know what? Kudos to him. I think being spurred on by the fans, he got a great reception. Number one, I think Arteta has been questioned a lot because obviously the fans want to pick holes in him all the time, and you know about his substitutions and who he brings on and his tactics. He got this one spot on, didn't he? He got it spot on.
Yep.
Not only did he do the right thing, but Nelson as a player, as an individual, was absolutely magnificent. I think Bez summed it up perfectly at the start when he first started talking at the top of the show tonight. And you know he came on. He was just superb. I've not seen him play like this. I'll be completely honest. I've never seen him play like this at all before. I don't know what's happened, but we were all a bit worried. Saka's up now. What's going to happen? But it's an opportunity for Reiss. But he didn't take it in the last game. He didn't take it. So everyone was a little bit worried. Everyone around us. Oh God, is he going? And boy, did he prove us all wrong. And I'm so happy. 2 amazing goals, an incredible assist. I'm sorry to say, with another worldie from Partey. Another worldie. You know. What can you say? It's options again, and this also then alleviates that concern about maybe Saka going missing for a little while. And I think think this is where people are questioning Arteta's choices. Everyone is questioning our strength in depth, which all right, I get that, and I do, and I also am with that as well, with that group as well. But the point is this: we do have some players in the background which can probably do the job very, very well. And if Reiss continues this, he could start challenging Saka. And who would have thought we'd be sitting here saying that?
Yeah. I mean, the numbers that he's put up, that's, you know, 2 goals and assists. That's Saka numbers, isn't it? That's something we're kind of used to him. Maybe 2 assists and a goal, possibly. But that's something that you know, he's obviously watched on the sidelines. I mean, as Neil said there, he's not sure where it's come from. I mean, I tend to think it might have something to do with the loan that he went out onto last season, Steve, where obviously he got to the final of the Conference League, Europa Conference against Roma. They lost, and again, it seems like what's happened with Saliba and what's happening with Balogun. It's like when these guys go abroad, will go away, they sort of grow up, maybe become a little bit more mature as a man, maybe off the pitch and on it. And obviously Arteta's words about him tonight, you know, saying about how they really sort of want this guy to succeed. We've spoken about Nelson in the past, you know, about do we think he's got it, and it looked like he didn't have the fight in him. to sort of become, you know, a key player. But yeah, what was your thoughts on it, Steve, on his performance, and especially second half where we just exploded?
I think it's difficult to get into a team when you've had injuries and stuff like that. So his start of the season has not been what he was hoping for, because he was injured for part of it, and then playing in the Europa League and not getting minutes in the league can be a bit, you know, again, you don't get to find a rhythm during the game. And today, everything just clicked. Everything just clicked. So, like I said, it wasn't for a want of trying in the previous games. Like I said, you never get a player that comes on and doesn't really want to do their best. You know, they always want to do their best, whichever the team, whichever the player. It's just that sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you can over try and do things. And I think when he came on, I think when we played in Europe, not the last game, the game before against Bodo, he tried to he just did things simple. You know, he kept it quite simple. He didn't take any risks. He wasn't going full pelt or anything like that. It was just about feeling comfortable on the ball, and that sort of thing comes from the manager and the coaches. So they will say to him, just feel comfortable. Don't try to be flash. Just do the basics right, and the rest will fall into place. And today they fell into place. Arteta talked about him at the beginning of the season, saying that he had grown up. You've seen a different side to him, and he himself has spoken about that as well. So he deserved these goals. He deserved his assist. He put in a good performance. There was a really big tackle in there as well. He got back, and you know, I think the goals lifted him and then elevated his performance as the game went on. So in the second half, we saw what we saw from him, and credit to the guy. He took his chances. I remember listening to the game, and it was like, oh, you know, he should have scored with his first chance, but he scored with his second chance. The first chance, he hit it well enough. You know, he hit it well enough. Yeah. The keeper made a great save, but he was alert to the second ball. And that was key. You know, he was alert to that second ball, and he took that with a great finish. So, yeah, he's someone that we all want to see do well. Again, he's another Haaland boy, and Mike, you'll probably know more than the other two. I've always said if we can give our Haaland boys a chance, that they will come good. And the loan options are looking good for a lot of them. I think one or two players probably need a season or two away, playing regular first team football, so they know what it's like outside of Arsenal, what it's like to go up and down the country, sometimes playing, sometimes not playing, sometimes getting those hard knocks and stuff like that. So going to Feyenoord last season has done him well, and hopefully he continues that. I did have one of my friends ask, you know, if Saka's not fit, does he start against Chelsea? I said, yes, he does. I said it's easy to stick Eddie in there, but what you want is you want somebody that can beat somebody on the wing, and he has that ability to do that. So yeah, great performance.
Yeah, it could be an interesting one because you could change it. You could put Jesus on the right, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But Bez, Nelson, I imagine you if you're picking the team for Thursday, he starts 100%. With a couple of the knocks, especially one to Saka, how you know, are you worried about, you know, overplaying, especially with that big one, because that's the one we really need to get something away, get something from. You know, because obviously the next one after that is going to be Wolves. But you know, what would you do Thursday, or you know, would you go full rotation, or would you keep a couple in there and then take them off if you get things done like after an hour?
I'll say rotation is key to any key team. Because right now you can see with Arsenal, the more players you have in your disposal for any given position, as you spoke in my first podcast, you'll benefit the team. And already it seems, say for example, I do want to see actually Nelson play on Thursday. Protect Saka by all means, because if he's hopefully not badly injured, at least we can throw him on Sunday. At least like catch Chelsea by surprise at the best of times, and at least, you know, let Jesus again dictate the game that he does. I'm nothing against Eddie Nketiah, but just to feel like Eddie provides a bit more less than Jesus, because Jesus I think covers more of the coverage in the front. So at least I think put Nelson on the right. Again, put Martinelli on the left, I think let Jesus be in the middle. But by all means, I feel like if I was here as a team, member alongside Arteta, say protect Saka at all costs, at least for our sake, for the World Cup, because I do want him to at least be ready for it, his mindset.
Mhm.
In the midfield, I'll say at least keep it together again. But again, no Xhaka's known again. Even him, protect him. But again, I'm trying to think who would play in this position. I forgot to mention my first point as well. From I saw some little video highlight before I got in here. Partey looked really good with his balls, like in sense not to be rude here, but
Yeah.
how he passed the balls
Yeah.
like across the pitch, like left. Sorry, Neil, the way I phrase that. Basically, he dictated really well and reminded me. I won't say like Vieira, but a bit more like Gilberto Silva back in the day. How he can just make it look easy, He just the way he just controls that movement, like from start to finish. And man, he's finishing lately. Sorry, he's second to none. The way he takes it first time, I just sit there and think, can we see this more than once a month, please? And I like that picture. Both are together as well. I think those who build a great dynamic understanding is great to see. And I'm great. I think they both complement each other because I think Jacques has joined the forward, as we spoke my first one, and you, Stephen, mentioned the last one as well. How Jacques has more freedom to go more forwards, and now he's more like telling Partey as well. When it's a bit more free for him to go up front, like shoot the goal, like be yourself, be free, just get out there, and he's working well. So again, I think for Zurich, throw caution to the wind, rotate if you need to, Arteta, but please, by all means, don't rush Saka to anything. Because he's given right. He's been playing lead. Correct me if I'm wrong. At least 50 games in a row now, which is too much. And he needs maybe a little break.
That's crazy.
Needs a little break. A little break is needed, man.
Yeah,
it's not fair on him.
I think one of the good things I found from the team, obviously, Jesus was never going to be a guy that was going to get 20, 25 goals a season. Like, everything was going to go through him. I think it's quite good that the goals seem to be coming from different places. Partey's chipped in, Xhaka's chipped in. I mean, granted, Xhaka. I mean, I again today. I mean, the amount of touches he's probably got more touches in the opposition penalty box than probably at least if he got the top 10 strikers in the league. He's probably right up there with the amount of touches and amount of pressures he's put on there. It's just amazing. And as you said, Bez, the balance between him and Partey, when Partey plays well, we tend to play well or win the game.
He's literally there. Sorry to cut you.
The levels he went to today. Again, some of those passes was like those dagger passes. You talk about the ones that literally went straight. Not sideways stuff, like vertical passes that went straight up, and it just had Odegaard right on their back again. I mean, Neil, I think obviously I know you don't like talking about transfers and everything and but if Partey is such a key integral part, should we be looking at getting someone in January with those similar attributes, or are we going to basically go with Elneny again and just rely on him? Because for no fault of his own, Lokonga doesn't seem to be that guy yet, because you can see the complete difference of when he's in that position. He's not making himself available. I was watching him in the first half where Partey was getting the ball off when Gabriel and Saliba had the ball, and the way Partey was unmarking himself from the forward, he was making himself available all the time. And Lokonga doesn't do that. He literally he's like he's watching the game. He's not getting involved in the game. He's like watching it, as if he's on the bench sort of thing. Do you think that's a part that that's the used to be Xhaka used to be the fulcrum, the part that we couldn't get injured. But now, do you think Partey is the one that we need to definitely focus on in the summer in January to get someone in like that? So if he does pick up his injury, then we've got someone. It's not going to fall apart, basically.
100%, totally agree. Because Lokonga, I think, needs to go on loan. 100%. Just the way Nelson went on loan and became a better player. Hopefully, will carry on the way Em Smith went on loan, became the player that he became for us when he came back. There's so many examples. I think Lokonga has got the potential, but you just described it perfectly there. He's more of a game watcher than knowing the off the ball movement from Partey is far, far better, far superior. Yeah. He knows where to be. He knows where he can position himself, as you said, to receive a ball which will then lead to a potential attack. I mean, the one for the second goal, he started the move off. I think I got that correct. You know, and I'm saying it from the start. I was speaking to Melvin just before we came on this pod, and I said I still believe we're going to win it, but we'll only win it if we don't suffer key injuries. So if we get key injuries, we need some people to cover. So there's been this thing about, I mean, Jack's convinced that we're going to get someone on the right, but now if Reiss Nelson has come, if this is the start of something, I know you can't judge anything by one game, but if that's the start of something that we're going to see consistently from Reiss Nelson, we're covered on the right. We've got plenty of cover. Yeah. But the middle, it's only El Neni and Lokonga. Lokonga, I don't think he's ready. El Neni, as good as he is, and he can be inspiring in certain games, but I don't think he's got it for every game. And while I've always respected El Neni because he's just a consummate professional, very much like Rob Holding, I just feel that he hasn't got enough to go up to the next level. So we need to bring someone in that can, you're absolutely right, mimic what Partey is doing. Absolutely 100%. Yeah. Because if we lose that, then Xhaka, as Bez alluded to just a little while ago, loses the ability to have the freedom to do what he's doing. And look what a difference he's made to our team whole season.
Yeah.
You know, and I just want to say one thing. I love the way Xhaka celebrated when Reiss Nelson scored his first goal. I don't know if anyone noticed that. They all, and this is the reason why I'm bringing that up is because the difference we have got this season is the fact that all the players are playing for each other. Jesus might not be scoring, but look at the work he's doing. This is the difference between Nketiah and Jesus. For me, Nketiah is focused on scoring goals. I think he feels personally that that's what he's going to get measured by, not only by the club, but by the fans. But Jesus, I don't think feels that way. Jesus is already doing enough around the box and around that area to bamboozle defenders to give the others the opportunity to score, which I think that's where the difference is between the two of them. And I think because he's got that in a mindset, Eddie, of scoring goals, I think that's what's causing him the difficulty because it's not easy to score goals all the time.
No.
So, but the team are playing for each other for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think there was definitely a point in the second half. I think when Vieira came on and he gave the ball away. Well, he was a bit sloppy with one ball and he cut to Gabriel Magalhaes and he seemed to be chipping at him and he seemed to have a go at him, like saying, "Look, come on, man, you got to fix up," sort of thing. You know, it's like the standard and the level that Jesus has brought in and everything, and they've seen the level of Saliba and things like that. You know, they know what the level is, and as you know, then they're all pulling each other, you know, along to try and make sure they maintain that standard. Steve, like touching on the party, but I thought Odegaard again was just constantly ticking away, pulling. You know, I think he set up. You know, on the stats that went below, he set up about 5 chances, a couple of them to Jesus, which again kind of showed the decision to take him off against Southampton was a bit of a strange one. But he's growing into the captaincy role. Definitely, I think for me, he's definitely got it. He's definitely knows what he's relishing it now. I'm glad that he's not going to the World Cup really, because again, I think he's going to be really key in the second part of the season, because this season is going to be crazy in the second part of it with the injuries that people are going to be picking up off the back of the World Cup, and then obviously once the season starts up again, if he's avoiding all of that, if he's out of all of that, I think he's going to be key. But was there anything else that you saw today that you wanted to pick out, or was it because again I thought Odegaard was obviously he got a goal, he led by example again as usual. But was there anything there that you saw that you like the look of, or was something that you want to keep an eye on for, especially Thursday and Sunday?
In terms of Martin Odegaard, it's one of those things when we had Mesut Ozil and people, I used to get a lot of stick for saying that, look, it's not what he does always with the ball. Sometimes you just got to watch his stats, and his stats are not measurable like an Alexis Sanchez or a Gabriel Jesus for it in that sort of sense. Is people always go, oh look, they're always running 100 miles an hour, this, that, and the other, and you go, yeah, that's great. But those sort of players, they they own the pitch. If you watch Martin Odegaard in this game, he owns the pitch. The ball went through. First, it starts off from the back and goes through to Thomas Partey, and Thomas Partey is spreading passes. When Odegaard gets the ball, it's the little. I said he's always running. If you watch him, he's always moving into space. He's always moving into space, creating space for others, and it's that part of the game that a lot of people I think miss when they talk about him and judge him as what he's done in a game. And again, if you watch him today, there's lots of times when he's run into spaces and it's just opened up a space for somebody else, or he's received the ball and then he's put in a clever pass. His finish today was crisp. One of my friends said it reminded him of a Liam Brady finish, and I could understand that. It's you just have to. As I said, there's certain players that will always be talked about. It's like I said, your Jesuses of the world, your Martinellis, your Sakas, your Xhakas now, and stuff like that. But I said sometimes you just have to watch where the other players. So, like I said, your Tomiyasu, for example, today, a lot of the time, especially in that first half, he inverted. He came in, so he was an extra man in midfield. He didn't always have to bomb forward because Xhaka and Martinelli were out there. So he sort of covered in there. And then you've got Odegaard. That's just he's always running and he's always creating spaces for others or creating space for himself to get the ball and then distributing very well. His passing is very crisp. Ben White, again, these players go under the radar because it doesn't look like they're doing anything the majority of the time. When you watch them carefully, they're doing a lot. They're just covering so much. And you'll notice that they'll go, oh, you know what, that's a good last-ditch block by Ben White. And with Odegaard, you'll go, oh, you know, that was a clever pass, a nice bit of skill there, and a clever pass. And with Tomiyasu, you go, oh, yeah, he is in the middle of the park. He is covering back in there. And then if he needs to shift out back to the left-back position, he will do that. And it's the unsung heroes, as they usually are. You know, the people that you go, they've just gone under the radar. But they're always doing something. And then when we look at Thursday's game, as Bez said, we have to rotate. Okay, there's there'll be an element of wanting to get the job done. But I think Teta said it before, when you've got a squad like ours, it is relatively small compared to, say, Man City's squad. And you look at Man City, Chelsea, and a few other squads, even Tottenham squad, for example. They've got huge squads. Our squad is quite small, and our squad is quite, compared to all the other squads, we're the second youngest team in the Prem. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So we've got quite a young team. Yeah. So we've got quite a young team as well. So players will need minutes. I would start Nelson because he needs those minutes to tick over. And he will be fit enough to start against Chelsea as well. And we will see Marquinhos at some point in that game. Sambi does need a loan. But again, you can afford to play him in that sort of game and hope that he does enough to get us over the line, if you see what I mean. And I think he does have enough to do that. With Sambi, I just want him to take more risks. And by that, I mean, you'll hear a lot of people talk about being brave on the ball, and he needs to be brave on the ball as well as off the ball as well. He's got it all there, as Neil said. He does have it all there, and it's just a confidence thing. And sometimes you look at Nuno Tavares, for example, who's out on loan in Marseille, and his confidence is back up because he's playing regularly. He feels like he's part of the team. As Beth said, if you're using your players well enough, then they feel part of the team and they actually contribute more when they're called upon.
Yeah, I think Lokonga. Yeah, I think Lokonga is not a 6. He's a number 8. He's a guy that should be box to box, picking the ball up a bit, almost like what Shaka's doing. He needs to have more freedom to go that way rather than worried about going the other way, because he has got a good pass in him. But I just think when he's in that position, it's like the Xhaka thing again. When we was playing Xhaka as that deep line, look at him now. We weren't seeing all of that, what he's doing now, because we were playing him in a different position. But yeah. So what we'll do is we just have a very quick break, and then we'll touch on Zurich again, and also the big one on Sunday when we meet the gold Lamborghini man. Okay, in a bit. Right, so Zurich, I think Bez, you said that you would like to a little bit of rotation, but you obviously want to make sure we get the job done, right? Like in the first, pretty much the first hour, and then maybe do some tactical substitutions.
Tactical, yes, but also as well give some youngsters a chance, to understand what it means to play for a shirt in a big competition.
Yeah.
Europa League, I guess, not that big, but give them something to give them a little lift. Say the example of, as we mentioned, I go back to the previous feedback he gave. Lokonga, I do like him. I rated him since day one he stepped foot in our club. But I do see a bit of him lately. He's a bit of a spectator in the background.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't look comfortable. Like, I think the boy needs a loan to push him to be a bit more physical, do something more, as you guys say, a bit more physical. Be a bit of an anchor of a midfielder. Don't just sit there. I think the ball comes to you. All he does is passes someone, and then he does nothing to track back. I'm sorry, but as a midfielder man, you need to do a bit of both, a bit of defending and attacking. And I've seen the young lad as well, Patino at Blackpool. So far, he's been treated like a king.
Yeah.
And the guy's only 20 years old. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of Patino as well, and as I said, Lokonga. But you see, Charlie Patino is such a young fella, and he's actually the loan is giving you lease of life. You can see, hopefully, when he comes back, he'll be more ready for the league to say to him, "Look, you've done your loan. Let's see what you're made of now. Let's see what you can give us." So I think, come January, if I was what's his name, if I was Lokonga, sorry, I simply would say to him, take the loan option and give someone else the freedom that they need. Say for them, if he goes on loan, maybe chuck someone like Nelson or someone else in that holding midfield role, because say again, Xhaka needs maybe a little rest in maybe late February, early March, or Party as well, because we need Party going forward.
Yeah.
Please, accept the loan deal. Don't act like a whiny baby, because otherwise you're letting yourself down more than your team,
Yeah.
And again, as I was saying, we need rotation for Zurich game, but at the same time, please, I feel the same to Arteta. Start players you need. Again, we qualified already. There's nothing really to play for. Despite just finish above the group, but please be ready for Sunday, because that Chelsea game. Well, I know knowing the Chelsea team now, you see already. I know they lost 4-1 against Brighton. They'll be up for it.
Yeah.
Knowing Graham Potter with their previous, experiences with when he played with that famous Norwegian team, I think for 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that was not fun.
Yeah.
And again, Brighton last season as well, and the season before. Again, I feel like every time I hear this man's name, it's like Harry Potter's magic comes to us again. I was like, no, I don't want to hear you. Just us, I think, just focus on us, how we did last season. One third place, we can afford to. It can happen again, but with the right frame of mind, with the right players, I think anything's possible again. We don't know.
Yeah, we've got to say Arteta's got a good record at Stamford Bridge. He does. He's got a good record. Neil, you going to the Zurich game or?
Yeah, Zurich game I'm going to. Yeah,
you going? Yeah. So Neil will be there making all the noise, and bringing it to the Zurich fans. But obviously, you want to see Nelson, kick on from what he did. Today, but will obviously be? It's a day to day with Saka. We've got to see if he's what his injury situation. I know Arteta said he's got a kick. He's had a kick. You can see how serious it is. But obviously, as we get close to Thursday, is it going to be? Maybe a situation. He might not play Nelson because he might need him for Sunday, and he might play someone like Marquinhos there instead. I mean. What would you do? Would you go half and half, or pretty much the team that played against PSV, or would you go a little bit stronger just to make sure we've got that over the line, especially with what's to come on Sunday?
It'll be interesting to see what Arteta does. I think it'll be quite a good kind of mold into his mindset, into what he is prioritising. Because as important as Thursday is, because we've got to match PSV's result. Yeah. I think for the focus, as we've all said from the start, the priority is top four, and to beat. We've already beaten Liverpool, we've beaten Tottenham, to now beat Chelsea. It's going to be huge for a mindset point of view. I think we're more than capable. Don't get me wrong, but it's still got to be done. And the only way it can be done is by fielding your best players in their best positions and give yourself every chance. So with that being said. What does he do for Thursday? It's it's so important. You know, I think the way I see it going, because we've held the top spot right from the start, the get-go, he's not going to want to let that go right from at the very end, where especially it means, you know, having a buy into the last 16 and not playing 2 games. It's going to be crucial for us, because I can still see, I mean, all right, the game against Brighton could go either way. You know, Caribou Cup could completely change all 11. We don't know. But if we progress there, we'll be fighting on 4 fronts. So, you know, to lose those 2 games is of paramount importance. It's not what me keep repeating it. I mean, everyone knows that. I think Nelson will play. I think he'll play. I think because it won't do him any favours having such a great performance today, getting man of the match. I think, if I'm right, I don't know if he did, but I think he might have got man of the match. And then take him off and not play him. That doesn't make sense to me. I think he plays. You give Saka a rest. If Saka is the Saka we know, and probably surprise everyone, who will be on the bench, possibly. I don't know. But I think he should, if we don't need to use Saka, we don't use Saka. And Marquinhos is an option. I agree. I think Marquinhos is another player that could do very, very well. I'm not sure about Turner. Is he fit? Because he was injured, wasn't he? I don't know if he's going to be back. But if he is, I would play him. I really would, because he's done nothing wrong for me. And then, I think you'll see pretty much a similar. It'll be interesting to see whether he goes holding Gabriel or holding Saliba on Thursday. That would be interesting. But I can see Tierney playing. It's so difficult. I'm struggling with it, because it depends really on how Arteta sees this. I would like to think that we'll see it as a very important game.
Yeah.
In which case, he'll probably go for as strong as he can without compromising potential issues, which could, hit him on the game against Sunday. But as to who he plays and how he plays them, that will be interesting. I think he'll still go with Eddie up front, 100%. And Martinelli, I've got to say, Christ, he's a machine. Again, he's another one that just keeps getting it better, literally game by game. He was involved in pretty much everything today. Pretty much everything. The man was a machine. I mean, it's not just the speed, but it's just like his accuracy is getting better. I'm seeing stuff from him that I wasn't seeing in seasons past. And it's just his awareness. I mean, that header. Do you know what that header tells me? I know I'm regressing a bit here from earlier. Right. But what that tells me is, I think in the past we've had players that were scared to get their head in the way of opposition's feet.
Yeah.
And he wasn't, and he showed today, for the first time I've seen this in a long time, that one of our players are literally putting themselves in danger for the better of the team. And that was marvellous to see. Absolutely marvellous. And, he started off that move. It was almost like a 1-2 with Saka, that goal. And so, again, he's been involved in so much. We talk about unsung heroes, and I think, it was on point to mention that. I think, Stephen, you're spot on about that. Said it so many times. I think it's so important to recognise what other players are doing, although the focus might not be on them. But in a way, even what Martinelli does, he might not be scoring 10, 15, 20, 30 goals, but my God, his work rate is incredible. And one more thing before I stop, and I'm going on, I'm stealing all your thunder. Stephen, it was funny. You were talking about one segment and I heard you say the word creativity about 10 times. And that is so crazy when I think about it, because we have been bereft of creativity for so long, and now you're just like spilling it out like, oh, he's creative. And I kept hearing that word, and that is why we're scoring all over the pitch. You see, things are
Absolutely
good, guys. Be happy and celebrate.
It's like I touched on before, it's like the goals are coming from different places. It's almost like, obviously City, their goals are more sort of centralized with, what's his name, Drago up front. He's another nickname for him. Everything just was going for him. Whereas, the normal template is the goals come from Foden. He chips in with one, then Gundogan gets one, De Bruyne gets one, and the goals are dotted around everywhere. So it seems like he's going along that tack, which is good, because that just means the opposition can't sleep, really. They can't sleep on anyone. We've got Martinelli, we've got Jesus, we've got Saka. Who's got Xhaka making those runs and picking him up? So there's all those different options there. which is great to see. I'll just put it out there that there's a stat that a team that who's had a good a start as this and not won the league was Kevin Keegan's Newcastle. And we all know how the wheels fell off there. So let's, again, like you say, Neil, let's enjoy it how it is. Let's see how it is. You know, they
Michael, lightning don't strike twice. Don't worry about that.
No, but they weren't up against oiled, pumped up with oil Man City. You know, they had the wine fueled Alex Ferguson's Man United, and you know who used to deliver crates to the refereeing department. But yeah, we won't go on about that. So we won't go on about that.
We'll talk that in May. We'll talk about that in May. Come on,
yeah, we'll talk about it, you know, like X-Files or something. But yeah, Steve. Steve, again, with the guys, you pretty much agree. It's almost a half and half thing. You make sure the team is strong enough. It should be able to do a job against a team that hasn't picked up a point yet. I don't think in the group stage.
I mean,
on Sunday.
They won't want to go out with nil points. So that's where the caution has to come in. You know, I like to throw caution to every team that we play because people go, oh, it's only this team, it's only Forest, it's only Zurich and whatever. And you go, yeah, but if you don't turn up and do your job, you lose the game. We've experienced that many times over the years of just going, for some reason our players just thought that they could just step on the pitch and win it. Arteta's not letting that happen. Yes, we lost against PSV, but you could see with too many changes, it wasn't as well oiled. And I know people have been talking about Vieira and stuff like that, and how you know he's not looking that great. And again, it's like Nelson. He didn't have a good pre-season. Came to us injured. And then he said himself that he's trying to bulk up and so he can deal with the physicality of things, and that will tire you out as well. So you're not going to be as fit. But he will start, and rightly so. Eddie will start, rightly so. Tierney, people are going, no, does Arteta have a problem with Tierney? And I've gone, no, of course he doesn't. But Tierney can't play 2 games a week. We can't risk him going off for 6, 7, 8 months again when we need him. So, yes, he's going to play 1 game a week. The European games are probably the best games for him to play because they're exhausting enough that he can get a good workout and get a bit more protection from the European referees in terms of getting knocks and stuff like that. So it helps to build up his body and his stamina and where we go from there. So Tierney will start against Zurich. He'll play the full 90 minutes. He came on today and, again, looked good. And, you know, he's learning that inverted role as well. So we'll see him. We might see Cedric at right back, I feel. I think that's why Arteta brought him on today. And again, he's another good professional, as Neil was talking about good professionals earlier, now Nenny and Holding. Cedric is another good professional. Again, he came on and didn't put a foot wrong. And he'll get some minutes to rest, either someone like Tomiyasu or Ben White in the centre, because Ben White went from right back to centre back in today's game and nobody noticed. Right? Nobody really noticed, because he just slips in so well. I think at the back it will be Holding and probably Gabriel. I know it's 2 ball winners, but I think that it needs that sort of power in that sort of defence. And then on your wings, we both said Nelson and Marquinhos will be fine. So yeah, I said I think he maybe just might want to put in Ødegaard for just that bit of extra creativity, but at the same time, he doesn't have to.
Yeah, I think it's a good shout. I mean, I don't think Partey's going to play because he played the whole 90 today, and normally he takes him off. But I think he took off Saliba, didn't he? He was on a yellow. You know, if he'd have got a yellow, he would have missed the game against Chelsea. But he left it a bit late, to be honest, in terms of the substitution. So I think he could probably afford to play him and maybe rest Gabriel and just keep him fresh for the game against Chelsea, obviously up against Aubameyang and stuff like that. So I think maybe he plays Saliba because he's not got that yellow card jeopardy over him. He hasn't got to sort of don't worry about that, and maybe give Gabriel a rest. Maybe who knows? But again, he's got the options, and we should have enough in the tank. But the thing I like with Arteta, he's pretty much no nonsense on the sidelines. He doesn't smile. He doesn't transmit that to any of the players that, oh, this is fine. I'm happy with this. It's literally, you look at me and like, I want more from you. I'm demanding more from you. You need to. This is the standards and this set. So no, yeah, it's
just one. Xhaka won't play because I think he picked up a booking, which means that he misses the game on Thursday.
Right. Okay. So it'd be Lokonga definitely and Vieira probably, and then whoever else. Just hope that I think they're saying ESR is meant to be back January now. I know he was at the stadium today, and Elmeni's back in training. But obviously this game's a little bit early, so he probably knowing like, did Egypt qualify, didn't they, or they didn't qualify, did they, Egypt?
No, I think they just missed out.
They missed out to Senegal again, didn't they? Yeah, so he won't be playing. So at least he'll have that break to get himself fit, because I'm sure we're gonna need him at some point in the second part of the season. But yeah, was there anything else, guys, that you wanted to pick up on? Anything Arsenal related that you noticed? I mean, again, I'll touch on what Neil said about the stadium. I mean, there was moments where, watching on the feedback, when we were pressing and getting, we turned Forest around and forced them back, and the roar. There was one point, there was a massive roar from the crowd. It was just appreciation of us just doing a really good pressing and getting it back. And I was taken aback. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Normally you get a little ripple of applause, like, when there's a good pass, whatever, but there was this roar that we actually turned this team around and got them playing back to their team. I mean, I don't know what's going on down there, but I mean, I haven't been for a while.
They can sense something special, Michael. Everyone's talking. There's something very special this season, or this year, if you like, and I think they can all sense it, and they're all latching onto it. I really believe that. I just think that. Well, you know what I believe.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to change my mind.
One thing I'm enjoying, as Neil was saying too, is how now the team can play freely, but also now they do the skills. There's more crosses in the opposition box. Yeah. There's no more walk the ball in the net, as used to be. I hate to say during the Emirates tenure, because I know he's back in the Premier League.
Yeah.
What can I say? In the early years of what I didn't know, again, people would like to say, Arsenal just walk the ball in the net. I can see even today, there must be maybe like 15 crosses in the first half. I can't believe it was only 1-0 to us. Yeah. And we contained that so well for all that period.
Yeah.
And then straight away, second half, was a different Arsenal team. I know it only Nottingham Forest, but just literally the way we came out of the blocks, gun blazing. I was like, where did this come from? I was like, straight away, even like this. Yes.
Bears, I mean, when you say only Nottingham Forest, but I think Stephen made a very good point. I think you've got to remember that's where we could fall down. We should approach every game. It doesn't matter even if you're playing 11 me's, which I'm the worst footballer on the planet ever created. And even if you're playing 11 me's, you shouldn't take that for, be complacent. It's like the only sportsman I ever knew that could walk into any arena knowing that the game's over before he even puts a foot in the ring is Mike Tyson, because he scared the opposition so much when he's peak. Yeah. That was different. But other than that, we have to. That is where we could get caught out. We could get caught out if we start thinking, like, for example, this Zurich game, we've got to go in there thinking this is going to be a battle, because they probably do want to have some pride. And equally, conversely, and I know we shouldn't worry about the other result. We cannot worry about the other result. But I think PSV will find it tough against Bodo, because Bodo, I think, will want to go out this competition with a bit of pride. They've got the artificial pitch where they've got to face now, like we did. Yeah. And it could be surprising, but we can't rely on that. We can't think, Bodo will help us, do us a favour. We have got to go out and probably punish Zurich and don't allow him to have that pride. That is the way we've got to treat not just that game, but every single team we play. It doesn't matter what the media say. The media can say, oh, but they haven't played anyone, and da-da-da-da. And now that I'm sure they'll be saying their real test doesn't come yet because we haven't faced City. It doesn't matter if we faced 37 other teams, but we haven't faced City. It doesn't matter. We just take each game equally. And that's what I'll say on that.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Agreed.
Yeah, 100%. Because you just get the analysts or whatever saying, oh, it's only Brentford. What, the same Brentford that slapped up United? Oh, it's only Forest. What, the Forest that beat Liverpool? Oh, it's only Leeds. What, the Leeds that beat Chelsea and Liverpool?
Yeah, Liverpool.
Oh, it's only Villa we beat. What, Villa that drew with City? You know what I mean? So it's, like I said, I think I said a couple of weeks ago, the narrative, and they're sitting around in a dungeon somewhere, all those people that work for all these companies, thinking, "Oh, what can we write about? How can we, tilt the narrative, and how can we put some shade on it? It's only them. Let's think of something." And yeah, it's pathetic, but long may it continue, because obviously that means we're fared again, as a club. So yeah, that was it. We've got a question, which I think Steve's going to deliver to yourself, Neil and Bez. Let's see how this goes down.
This is a test of your knowledge, lads. Okay, tested your knowledge. So, good friend of mine, Peter, his sons, Elisha and Micah, wanted to know what European trophies we have won, and can you name them?
European Fairs Cup, something. That's what I know. European Fairs Cup. That's only one rings out in my head.
Neil?
And then the other one. Oh, you want me to do it? And the other one was the Cup Winners' Cup against Parma under George Graham. I think that was 90. Oh, I've forgotten the year. 95,
94,
94. Yeah. So we've won 2. 2 is my answer.
Yeah.
Is that right?
2 is correct. 2 is correct.
And we both said them, I believe.
It will be free. It'll be free this season.
Both Mike and Elisha is it is the Fairs Cup and the Cup Winners' Cup that went on to become the UEFA Cup. We've been to a few finals, unfortunately, and not got past the line.
Yeah.
So there was, I think Wenger got to
2000 against Galatasaray. We lost on
and then the Champions League. That one hurt.
Yeah,
that one still hurts.
And the Europa League as well.
And then Europa League as well.
So,
and Emery got to Europa League as well.
Yeah.
But we're still the Arsenal. We're still great.
Yeah. We'll get we get number 3. We'll get number 3 third European trophy this season. I'm pretty confident in that.
The teams that have dropped down into the old Europa, you might as well just call it Europa Champions League at the moment. You've got Barca in there. Who else is in there? Juventus.
Yeah,
there's a few teams that are dropping down. Atletico is one of them.
Atletico. I think
not yet.
Go down if they get the result in the week. So.
But basically, there's about 6 or 7 teams. You guys are all dropping down. You're all European powerhouses. If Tottenham don't get the right results, they could drop down.
Yeah, but they're not European powerhouse.
No. I mean,
well done, Neil.
They're just Tottenham. And what do we think of Tottenham? Okay, we'll keep it PC.
Yeah, we can't do that.
I'm not saying nothing. Tell me my third cap, as Michael said. I went with my third cap.
I want everyone to really enjoy this. I've always said the biggest mistake I made in my life was not appreciating Wenger's golden era as much as I should have done, because it became so every week. It was almost getting, without sounding really stupid, it was almost getting boring because we were just so good. We would just destroy teams. And I'm not letting that happen. I'm reveling every second of this. Every second. And I think all Arsenal fans should do so.
100%.
Absolutely agreed.
100%.
Even me on Thursday. Sorry, Mike. Sorry, Stephen. Sorry.
No, go on, Bez. Go on, Bez.
I was just saying, after the PSV game result on Thursday, literally I felt so angry. So, can I say that a rage? But I was like, you know what? Calm down, because this team will have a resilience to bounce back. As I said, reset, and look, they delivered a 5-star performance.
And
now we go again on Thursday, another game. Clean as daisies,
Answering every question every week. Every time we ask a question, we answer it.
Yeah.
That's definitely the key thing. I mean, when we lost, a lot of the papers were saying, "Oh, how will we react? How will we react to the loss?" And we reacted emphatically. It's 5-0, and people go again. I don't like to hear when people say, "Oh, it's only Forest and they're in the relegation zone and stuff like that." They're in the relegation zone. That means they're fighting for points. It's not like they're in the relegation going, "All right, yeah, we'll sit back and we'll just lose this one, lads." They're fighting for points, and in the first half, we go in at 1-0, and they're probably thinking, right, we've been under the cosh a little bit here, but they
had chances as well.
Yeah, they had a couple of
chances. Yeah, that Gabriel gave one straight to Lingard.
That sloppy pass in the box, and then there was another one when Partey had missed a pass as well. So as Neil said, take nothing for granted, people. This is it's enjoyable, but we know how things can change in football, and when people want to slate us and say, oh, you're celebrating this and you're doing that, and it's only this team and it's only that team. You can only beat the players that are in front of you. And so far we've done that, and we've bounced back from defeats with wins.
Yep.
So,
And just one more thing. I know I'll keep interrupting you guys. Sorry and apologise. But everyone was going on about, oh, they're leggy, oh, they're tired, oh, they're this, oh, they're that. I didn't see any of that today. Did you?
No.
Nope.
No. Thank you.
No. On that note, it's been another fantastic chat. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Really appreciate you giving up your Sunday evening, but talking about a victorious Arsenal, of course you're going to give up your evening, and talk about it. Aren't you? So,
the only way is Arsenal, man. The only way is Arsenal right now. That's what I put in my headline. And as Neil would say, where's mine?
Respect the canon. Respect the canon.
I didn't get a memo. I'm wearing the wrong shirt.
Yeah.
Well, I thought because it was a home game.
It's all right.
No, you've done the right thing, Stephen. You've got the home shirt.
Thanks so much, guys. We'll be back obviously next, maybe on Thursday to see how things go. But we'll definitely be back next week to hopefully talk about another win when we smash up the bridge and take the 3 points away from there. So I've been Michael B.A. Harris. He's been Bez Hannibal Kelmendi. He's been
Hannibal, I love that.
He's been Neil Faceman Shah, and that geezer down there. There you go. No, there you go. He's been Steve Murdoch. The AD. So thanks very much for joining and watching and listening. We are available on Spotify and all good platforms. Thanks very much, and up the Arsenal. Come on, you Reds.
Come on, Arsenal.
Come on.
Come on, boys.
You know who made it.